Good morning, everybody. Sorry I had to delete my last video because my title didn't go through. Kind of been having some issues with Facebook over the last couple days, but nonetheless, I'm going to do this video I wanted to do for everybody after I finished my last two international forums, one of which went into great detail on constitutional law. That was quick. I guess I'm up and running very well because people are already logging on. So, good morning, everybody. We're going to get into the step by step of how we address this globalist socialist reset that's gone partisan across every aisle, at least in Canada. We know it's a problem internationally. However, today we are just going to look at Canada's system, specifically two options available to all of us. And so it gives all of you some hope and some of the work I've been doing, what I've learned, and what I'm going to pass on to all of you. I've broken it down, like I said, step by step, and we're going to go into that now. So, there's only two options to actually deal with this global socialist reset we've been going through in Canada. They're both constitutional, so either way, we have to go through the Canadian system as it is. I'm going to give you, like I said, those two options here of how we address it. And by the end of the video, you will all take, depending on where you live in Canada, which path you want to take or go forward with. And I'm going to give you the entire detailed analysis of both options as presented by world experts in constitutional law, world trade, and the world system as we know it, okay? This is by the world's best of the best. I finished that work. I'm still going to continue on with that work, but I'm here today to give you all the answers, whichever path you would like to take. So the first option is to secure a federal political party that is committed to the Constitution and gutting it. When I say gutting it, it's called dismemberment. This isn't amending your Constitution. It is a political party that is established to absolutely gut the Canadian Constitution through what is called dismemberment. That's in legal terms of all constitutional scholars worldwide in every academic circle, okay? There's courses you can take to learn all about this. Many countries have already gone about the process of constitutional dismemberment. We see that with India, a lot of African countries, many countries, in fact, that were Commonwealth countries. You'll see more and more trolls pop on my feeds, especially stuff like this. I will be blocking them. And any of you watched my last video, I provide the absolute data and then I block the person because it's just going to continue going forward the further I go with this. It sucks the fingernails that Facebook uses on my videos. They catch me with a weird face, and that's okay. I mean, it doesn't hurt my feelings in any way, shape, or form. But so number one, the federal party secured with a commitment, absolutely committed to gutting the Constitution. That has to be their platform. They're going to dismember the Canadian Constitution. But there's also a part B to this. Not only is it only in a federal party, that federal party also as well has to secure 10 provinces and 3 territory provincial parties with the exact same agenda that will vote through a gutting and dismemberment of the Canadian Constitution. That's a reality. Resetting it, starting over. The ability to do that in Canadian law is bound to our Constitution that if you don't get a majority of provinces and territories just in amendments, let alone a dismemberment, you have to have the federal political party with an elected prime minister who's going to have his base put that through in a majority, and then each and every province and territory must vote that through. So you have to have a majority of the population, meaning at least Ontario and Quebec, going forward with this because they're more than half of the population combined of Canada. You have to secure at least Ontario and all the other provinces, or at least Quebec, every other province and territory versus Ontario. And that is very, very unlikely because provinces that have the constitutional power, especially in House and Senate weight, are not going to want to give it up. So that option, well, it's nearly impossible. It's not impossible, but it's very, very unlikely that you can get that many provincial political parties, a federal party, to gain power, plus empower of the provinces, at least in a majority of not only provinces and territories, but as well majority of the Canadian population represented. And that's the issue that I look at option one as nearly impossible to stop what the mainstream parties are doing to all of you. And if you look, Conservative, Liberal, NDP, Green, Bloc Québécois, they all absolutely gravitate to winning the upper lower Canada, and they will do anything and sacrifice any province or territory to see that ends met. This is the fundamental problem with trying to address it. Now, I'm not saying it's not impossible. You could get a party like Maverick or PPC, if they're on board with that, committing to absolute constitutional dismemberment as a party platform, and then as well having to win a provincial party, a territorial party, and at least 50% of the populated Canada. And I don't see that as viable. All constitutional experts, nearly all of them that I've encountered in all my forums worldwide by the number one constitutional experts in the world, economists, trade specialists through the WTO, all agree that that is not going to be likely, even remotely possible for Canada. Option one is off the table. They all agree that that will never happen. Now, option two is the option throughout my years that I promote, where I've gone, and it's why I go into the provincial separation of individual provinces. For me, I've targeted Alberta, my province, that's grossly misrepresented in Canada, doesn't have the equality of say, and I believe that option one will never happen, and I'm happy that now I have world experts agreeing that it's likely not going to happen. So option two is the provincial separation of individual provinces, or a province. To do this, not only in Canadian law, but also world binding law that will be respected and has been historically respected worldwide since 1948, very successful, just seen in 2005, was going to the UNSC, the UN, telling everybody of your intention to hold a referendum and asking them to help reinforce that worldwide. And they historically always do, as long as you're not doing a unilateral successionist movement where you're making a decree by an act of government, but actually holding a referendum for the people, which is lawful in Canada. It's only lawful if a provincial party administers that. You win a vote by 50% plus one, and you can take your referendum and you can separate. Now, to ensure that, because of the rules that Canada has imposed to the Supreme Court, you have to go above that and go out on international law. You have to submit to the UNSC, and you have to submit to allowing them to administer your referendum. This has been done by other countries who are now UN states recognized, regardless of what political aspirations of what the country was that said, no, we won't let it go forward, as Canada does with the Clarity Act. They've put in a monumental amount of restrictions inside there that, again, make it impossible when you're allowing other provinces who have nothing to gain by allowing you to succeed, but have everything to lose by letting you go through with that. So they will never vote in your favor. It is already, through the Clarity Act, an unfair and unlawful process as measured in world binding law. So this option is to do the referendum, but to go out, contact the UNSC, the United Nations Security Council, and have the world vote and agree to administering that referendum on behalf of any province in Canada, okay? That's what can be done. There's historical precedent which proves that this not only was done, which Canada participated in and helped administer as well. So they're tied to it in international law. They can't just say, oh no, it's not good enough for one of our regions, even though they've allowed and helped administer that worldwide for other countries in history. It's now bound in world law, and Canada is absolutely bound to it unless they want to give up their membership in the UN. These are the options. I've explained the problems of doing number one. You will not find a world expert, again, in constitutional law or in any kind of world trade or international law that is going to come forward to say that option one for Canada is viable or even remotely possible. Option two is not really remotely possible if you go with the Clarity Act. However, it is most certainly possible if you go with the United Nations Security Council. That's reality, everybody. You can go engage world experts. You can go yourself and ask the best constitutional experts across this world in every major academic institution, and they're going to come back to you with exactly this video that I'm presenting to you live and very publicly out to the world today. That is the truth. It's up to each and every one of you to decide what you want to do, because amendments of our Constitution will never change the binding rules of the Constitution. It will always remain as it is. Dismemberment is the only way. India was able to do that, but they did not have the same political structure system that Canada has in place today. They didn't have regions with measurable weight differences as Canada does. Canada has gross civil right violations, gross human right violations that exist today that are not seen in any other major country in the world. That's how bad it really is. Now, I love and respect people's commitment to trying to go forward to see these changes happen, but you're not going to find any world support, any political support, or any other options other than the provincial succession referendum administered by a provincial party in power, and more so starting with the Clarity Act, but moving right away onto the United Nations Security Council and having that power administered in international law, which they will. They've done it for many other countries, and Canada has administered it with them as well, binding it into international law. Canada can't say no to any province or territory, not if they elect to use the UNSC. Thank you. This is my video today. I hope it receives everybody very well. I hope you all get it shared out. Again, you won't get any narrative outside of real credible academics that are going to say much more against what I've just told you right now. Maybe minor variations, but this is the work I've completed over the last 4 years, and I'm finalizing it today as absolutely how academic worldwide looks at this problem that you Canadians face today. And I'm sorry, I wish there was better news. It's not impossible, option one, but is highly, highly improbable, nearly impossible. And even living constitutional experts who have tried to do just constitutional amendments, not dismemberment, amendments, have had a gross ratio of unsuccessful rates, meaning most never get it done inside Canada for the smallest of constitutional amendments. We have the hardest amendable constitution in the entire world. That is a fact, or nearly. And out of 193 nations, that says a lot. Thanks, everybody. Again, please get this shared out. This is absolutely 100% legitimate, honest, and real. And it's credible. You can go around, present this to world experts, and they're going to agree that what I'm telling you today is absolutely truthful. Thank you. Bye now.